Hello, everyone. If you could please make your way over to your seats, we'll be getting started momentarily. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming today for the launch of the 2024 See It, Be It STEMit calendar. We are very thankful you could join us today to celebrate the new 2024 calendar role models and unravel their stories of being passionate STEM leaders. As we gather, we are reminded that Guelph is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people today. As a community, we have a responsibility for the stewardship of the land on which we live and work. Today, we acknowledge the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, of the Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples on whose traditional territory we are meeting on. My name is Holly Larison, and I'm the Sustainability and Environmental Coordinator here at Linamar, and today I am pleased to be your MC for this event. Now, I would like to introduce See It, Be It STEMit founder, Linda Hassenfratz, the Chief Executive Officer of Linamar Corporation. Linda earned both her Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry and her MBA from Western University. Linda is involved in many initiatives that advocate for women in STEM, is the co-chair of the Canada-United States Council for Advancement of Women Entrepreneurs and Business Leaders, and the champion behind the pillar Increasing Women in STEM Roles. Please join me in welcoming Linda to the stage.
Thanks, Holly. Thanks so much, Holly, and welcome everybody. It's so exciting to have everyone here this afternoon for the launch of our 2024 calendar. I'm so excited to have most of our role models here today, and hopefully some of the others joining in virtually. I'd also, by the way, this is the first year that we're live streaming our launch, so I wanted to say a special welcome to the folks tuning in, from especially some students from several schools here in Guelph, as well as across the province, in fact, and potentially even out of the country. So we're very excited to have you all joining in as well. This is the 6th edition of our See It, Be It STEMit calendar, which is incredible to think that we're already 6 years into this journey, which has been just such an incredible journey. And I think because I've had the privilege of working with some really amazing people, both within Linamar, Paula, Jenna, Jennifer have done such an amazing job, and our fantastic creative team, Trina, Coster, Scott, your whole team of photographers and artists, in my opinion. And of course, Derek and Julio and their whole team at Valentini. So I feel really lucky to have such an awesome team who do such a fantastic job. And every single year seem to somehow produce an even better calendar. So I'm really proud to work with every one of you. Now, I have always believed that STEM, science, technology, trades, engineering, and math are fascinating areas of study that can lead to really exciting careers. Obviously, I am a STEM grad myself, so I obviously felt that very early on. As you heard, I studied chemistry for my undergrad at Western, and I think it taught me a lot of really important skills that have been really helpful to me throughout my career around critical thinking, around process flow, around precision and good database decision making that I rely on every day up to and including today. I also think that in today's rapidly evolving world in terms of technology, there's just a huge demand for STEM grads to create, to implement, and to drive that technology evolution and innovation that's really just so critical to all of our competitiveness. Science and technology are also at the core of solving some of the world's biggest issues, whether it be climate change, feeding a growing global population, or making sure we all have access to fresh, clean water. I think also our economy needs more entrepreneurs, and we have entrepreneurs in our group today, and many entrepreneurs on our website as well, of role models in STEM, creating exciting businesses around advanced technology and all kinds of different areas. So to me, to achieve this economic imperative really of creating more businesses that are doing this, we need to encourage more young people to pursue a STEM education, and particularly women. We need to tap into 100% of the population. That means bringing more and more women into STEM to create exciting, fulfilling careers, to start businesses, and support that economic growth. Our goal with this calendar is to do exactly that, to inspire more young women into a STEM career by showcasing incredible women who have already done so, who are scientists, who are tradespeople, who are technologists and mathematicians and engineers, and all the really interesting and varied things that they're doing. I do think society sometimes has a mistaken image of people in STEM. Like, people in STEM are the same as people in every other kind of discipline. And it's been just such a joy over these 6 years to meet all these different women in all kinds of different STEM careers and learn a little bit about them. You know, some are into sports, some are into hiking, some are competitive athletes, others love cooking or baking or dance, some are incredible musicians and artists. And actually, I found this to be a really interesting thing that we've learned along the way, this linkage actually between creativity and artistic focus and STEM grads. So, you know, some people think you have to be like either into science or into art, and it's actually quite the opposite. We found so many of our STEM grads and tradespeople are actually incredibly artistic and creative as well. So you can be both into science and math and be creative and artsy as well. So I think the bottom line is STEM grads, like everybody else, are into a million different things and have exciting, vibrant, fun-filled lives doing all kinds of different things inside and at work. Now, of course, this project's about more than just our wonderful calendar. It's also a comprehensive program that we designed to try to reach out to young women through our website, seeitbeatstemit.com, and social media platforms as well. On our website, we offer inspiration from our many role models, close around 300 at the moment. And so not obviously just the ones focused that are featured in our calendars. And we release information all year long through social media to try and keep that conversation going around women in STEM. Now, I will say that picking role models to feature in the calendar from our growing list on the website is becoming increasingly challenging because we have just so many amazing and great, interesting stories of women studying and working in all kinds of different areas of STEM. But it is something that we all really enjoy taking the time to do every year. I love the group we have put together this year. We've got civil engineers, we've got electrical engineers, we've got an electrician, we've got an architect, we've got mathematicians, the mathematician targeting a career combining math and fashion, which is very interesting. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking part in our project this year. You guys are amazing. Your videos are amazing. You're giving such great advice, and we just really appreciate what you've done. We appreciate you giving of your time so selflessly to inspire others. So thank you so much. We are really excited to share your stories tonight. So with that, without further ado, let's jump into presenting you with our See It, Be It, STEM It role models for 2024. It Be It STEM It is an initiative we started at Linamar a few years ago designed to attract more young women into science, trades, technology, engineering, and math through the use of role models.
There's so many different avenues that you can go down, so many different paths. I think it's really difficult to see those right at the beginning when you're young. But doing your research, making sure that you're keeping your eye out on something that you're passionate about and something you're good at can really serve you in the long term. And not to mention, you're also making a real world contribution while you do so.
I think it's a beautiful field. Why not? That's the question. Why not? Why not you? If you have that passion within you, why not you? So don't stop or actually block yourself or limit yourself. If this is something that you're truly passionate about, remember that why and go straight and go forward for it.
STEM is really what's driving the future, in my opinion, and so there's so many different ways that STEM can contribute, whether it be through engineering like what I do, through science and research and innovation. I think that for young people who have interest in these fields, it's a really great way to move society forward and to have a positive impact on their community and on the world.
And now I'm excited to introduce each of our individual role models for 2024. When your name is called, if you could please come up to the stage to receive a small gift from Linda as your featured video plays. Our first role model, unfortunately, could not be here in person with us today, but we are excited to introduce her, and that is Cassandra Purdon. Cassandra has a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry and Earth and Ocean Sciences from the University of Victoria, and is a Master's of Science student in the Department of Geography at the University of Calgary, studying Arctic chemical oceanography.
Hi there, my name is Cassandra Purdon. I am a master's student at the University of Calgary. I am working in the Department of Geography, and the work that I do along with my lab group is looking at carbon dioxide in the Arctic Ocean. I was looking for a career that was going to be impactful for society, and I really loved combining the oceanography with the chemistry, and was going to be making contributions to our understanding of the environment and the Arctic, and that really inspires me. I get to go to remote places and to communities and places that I probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to if it wasn't for STEM. So anyone new to STEM, I think if they have the opportunity to really gain workplace experience throughout their degree is really beneficial. You get to continually learn. It's never, there's never quite an end. You're always learning new things, making new discoveries, and there's always something unsolved at the end of the day, and I think that's great.
Lena Kamar. Lena has a Bachelor in Materials Science and Engineering from McMaster University and is currently in the Linamar Entrepreneurial Advancement Program at Linamar Corporation.
My name is Lena Kamar. I am in a program called LEAP that Linamar offers. It stands for Linamar Entrepreneurial Advancement Program, and essentially my role is to be a jack of all trades. I had the pleasure and opportunity to rotate across different functional areas of the company, work through them, learn, with the end goal being to have a management position. It's sort of like having a superpower of knowing how certain things work and why they work, and being able to have this deeper understanding. Whether it's knowing how your vehicle works and being able to do some tune-ups yourself, or being able to understand how certain concepts relating to maintenance and things like that, that would be in your capacity. However, I would just simply say it's like having the secret building blocks, the secret code to life, because ultimately STEM is all around us. Science and mathematics are humanity's way of understanding the world around us. A lot of times we're in school systems or environmental systems that seem to reward the person that has the answer right away, that doesn't need to struggle for it, right? And there's so much value in struggling for the answer, in not just knowing it right off the bat, is in saying, I don't know, and curiously searching for what it might be. Do not be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are excellent teachers, even though they may be very painful. And beyond that, never shrink yourself to make other people feel comfortable. Grow to as much as you can grow and continue to strive for what you want, no matter how it makes other people feel.
Next, we have Emily Dropo. Emily has a Bachelor of Engineering Science in Electrical Engineering from Western University. She is currently a Power Systems Engineer at the Independent Electricity System Operator.
My name is Emily Dropo. I am a Power Systems Engineer at the Independent Electricity System Operator for Ontario. And at the IESO, I work in connection assessments, which means that I assess new or modified connections to the power system. When I meet people and I explain what I do, the most common reaction is, oh, I never thought about that. Because we all have electricity in our homes, we use it every day, but it's not very frequent that someone thinks about how it actually got there, and not only how that energy is generated, but how it traveled there through the transmission lines. And part of operating the power system is not only making sure we have the power we need, but making sure it gets where it needs to go, when it needs to go there. So no 2 days are the same, and it's very exciting with regards to the energy transition. And most days I'm seeing a type of technology that I might not have worked with before, and so it's a great opportunity to continue learning, as well as bringing these new technologies for clean energy for Ontario. STEM is really what's driving the future, in my opinion, and so there's so many different ways that STEM can contribute, whether it be through engineering like what I do, through science and research and innovation. I think that for young people who have interest in these fields, it's a really great way to move society forward and to have a positive impact on their community and on the world.
Next is Alicia Neves. Alicia has an Honors Bachelor of Architectural Studies and a Master's of Architecture. She is the Principal Architect and CEO of Fabric Architects.
My name is Alicia Neves, and I'm an architect and the Principal of Fabric Architects. The advice I'd have for a young person coming into my field would be to just go for it. The road to becoming an architect is, it could be a very lengthy process, so sometimes I know that discourages young people to come into the field. However, if you do have this drive and this passion for creativity and engineering, I do feel that this industry can actually be very satisfying for young women. And And it's one that has a lot of opportunities as well. So there is a really interesting field that's developing right now, just geared specifically at sustainability and architecture. And we need it because architecture is definitely one of those areas that needs to be looked at so we can have more net zero buildings, more passive house buildings. There's those goals, but also as designers, there's those basic principles that, like the orientation of a building and how do you plan to take advantage of the most natural light. Doing those models and really testing how the building's going to perform. And the wonderful thing is the technology has come such a long way. There's even that niche, right, in STEM, and it's like looking at taking the architectural model and looking at different ways to manipulate it to perform better. Engineering architecture brings together our built fabric that we live and play and work in every day. So that, to me, they kind of go hand in hand. So really I'd say go for it. Don't be scared by the journey ahead, because through that journey you will also develop and learn yourself and find the right place for you when all of the schooling is complete.
May Liu. May has a Bachelor of Science in Life Sciences from Queen's University and has earned a Master's of Teaching with intermediate and senior teaching qualifications for both mathematics and biology. May works in product development at Nelson Education, specifically on kindergarten to grade 12 math and science portfolio publishing.
My name is May Liu, and I'm a portfolio publisher for Nelson Education. I manage the math and science portfolio for all K-12 educational resources in Canada. We create curriculum-aligned resources, so they're in a lot of classrooms across Canada. And I think one of the biggest impacts is we think a lot about CRP, which translates to culturally relevant and responsive pedagogy. And what that really means is making sure a student feels seen, heard, and like they belong in the classroom. I think that in my work, it's about how do we make math and science interesting, fun, engaging, but also accessible to all learners. And there's a lot of creative thinking that goes into that. And there's a lot of creativity in understanding what does a classroom look like nowadays? How do we address all learners in that classroom? I had a mentor whose saying was always, it's by trying hard things that we learn how tough we really are. And that's something I've really used in new challenges or approaching things. It might seem hard or it might seem impossible, but if we fail forward and we have a lesson to carry forward, or we find out that we are actually more capable than we thought we were as well. I don't think I would be good at my job if I never failed or I never made a mistake, because my job is all about trying things and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And so you have to fail, but you have to learn from the failures to do different. And you don't get innovation by getting everything right. And you have to be so curious. And I feel like that's the cool part of doing science, is just asking these questions, being curious, and discovering new things all the time.
Effie Frucci. Effie has a Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Science and Master's in Health Sciences and Public Health from Oxford Brookes University. She is a coach and consultant at the Coaching Element and founder and executive director of Odihi.
My name is Effie Frucci. I am the founder and executive director of Odihi. I'm also a coach and consultant, and I work with a lot of organization brands as well as pharma and biotechnology companies. A career in STEM is a fabulous way for helping the world and helping people, because it opens so much doors, because it helps us understand what is happening in this beautiful world that we get to share. And also growing up, because I was quite ill and I spent a lot of my childhood in a hospital, I really wanted to understand if I could cure my own disease. And I think in a lot of ways, seeing the doctors and watching them do what they do so seamlessly, so lovingly, so bravely as well, was just something that I thought I want to understand more. And then just realizing that first moment when I sat in school, when I first arrived in Oxford, it was just such a settling moment to know that, girl, you did it. And for me, it was such a huge moment because I know success looks so different to people. But in that moment, I felt like I had arrived because I did that. I didn't give up. I didn't quit even when it was actually rough. I did everything possible without compromising who I am. And now I sit here and I'm super grateful that I trusted in myself. I believed in myself. And I saw my future so clear that I thought it was worth investing and going all in for. I think it's a beautiful field. Why not? That's the question. Why not? Why not you? If you have that passion within you, why not you? So don't stop or actually block yourself or limit yourself. If this is something that you're truly passionate about, remember that why and go straight and go forward for it.
Sydney Conrad. Sydney earned her Honours Bachelor of Science in Psychology from the University of Toronto and is the Customer Onboarding Team Lead at Clio.
My name is Sydney Conrad. I work at a legal tech company as a Customer Onboarding Team Lead, and I'm in a leadership role there, and our team trains all of our new customers how to use the product. I think when I was a bit younger, I thought I had to figure everything out all at once. And as I got a bit older, I realized that there's lots of time to do so many different things. And that's very inspiring because it means I can pivot at any point and try something new whenever I decide to. My unconventional path to STEM started in retail, actually, and a lot of customer service jobs. And I loved that because it allowed me to build really great connections with customers and learn those skills to work with customers and really learn about what they need. And I've now been applying that in the technology industry and growing my leadership skills there as well. I am constantly looking for opportunities to stretch outside of my comfort zone, and I love learning from the other people on my team, the leaders above me, and just finding that there's always something to learn and endless challenges. There are just so many opportunities for young people in STEM, and I really think the sky's the limit. You can take any experiences you have from your past and apply them in so many different industries within STEM. So I'd say give it a try, see what's out there, and don't be afraid to jump in.
Unfortunately, also unable to be in attendance today is our 8th role model, Haley Branch. Haley has an Honours Bachelor of Science and Masters of Science from the University of Toronto and earned her Doctor of Philosophy from the University of British Columbia. She is currently a postdoctoral fellow in ecology and evolutionary biology at Yale University.
I'm Haley Branch. I am an evolutionary ecologist. I study plants and how they adapt and respond to environmental pressures. I originally wanted to be a dancer, specifically a ballerina, and that didn't seem to be in the cards. So at the age of 16, I started to take math and some more science courses so that I could go to university. And that is what brought me to plants. And so I had no idea I'd end here, but I'm really happy that I did end here. But it was very scary to do. You can always follow that dream at some other point. Or find that dream later on. And it's okay, you're learning, and that's the best part about going to school, is that you just keep learning, which is probably why I'm 30 and just finished school. Helping, I think, other people see that someone like me a woman in a wheelchair can do science, can excel in laboratory environments. I would have loved to have seen something like that when I was younger. Anyone could go into a science career because there's so many possibilities, there's so many opportunities, and you could carve out a section of it to be unique for you. And that's something that's amazing about science.
Next, we have Shannon Elizabeth Tomosco. Shannon has an advanced diploma in child and youth work and is an electrical apprentice with the IBEW Local 105 in Hamilton.
Hi, my name is Shannon Tomosco. I'm a third-year electrical apprentice, which apprentice means I'm a student. And so I install and maintain all electrical systems that you might have, residential, commercial, all different kind of electrical circuits that you'll see around the house or at work. Being in the skilled trades, you're constantly learning. You have no choice to. You know, technology is always adapting and changing, which means you as a worker have to grow with it. But it also means that you're continuously learning, keeping your brain sharp, and an ability to contribute to yourself, your own personal growth. I think one of the bravest things that I've had to take on is, putting my mental health first, making decisions every day, putting good practices every day to ensure that I have an overall happiness. This contributes to my work life, to my personal relationships, but it is a choice. You have to put your mental health as a priority, and it sometimes takes some bravery to do that. I think one of the big misconceptions about working in the skilled trades is that you have to be strong, that strength is what equals value. Everybody has different things to contribute, and if we only look at that and we only look at the value that someone physically can offer, we're missing out on a big population of people because we have lots of different things that we contribute. It can definitely be a difficult job, but when you do get your ticket and you are successful and you're a tradesperson, the options are never ending, and really does open so many doors, brings you transferable skills that last a lifetime, and so don't give up. I know it can be hard at the beginning, but it's worth it.
Also unable to be here today is Riva Puri. Riva is currently a Bachelor of Mathematics student at the University of Waterloo. She has previously worked at Sunnybrook Research Institute as a data science intern.
So I'm Riva. I'm an undergraduate student at University of Waterloo, majoring in statistics and minoring in computing. That just includes analyzing a lot of data. It's a huge field related to data science, and computing just comes with it because we're always coding. Lots of people think that math just means you're gonna get to teach after you graduate, or they're also scared of it, a lot of them, but that's not the case. If you do like math, I would say go and try new things. You will find that there are a lot of opportunities. People around me, they are very, they like to try new things. I like to join some clubs that are close to my field. They're constantly working on something new and great, and if you're, working on a project, you're gonna need other people's opinions because the world doesn't just think like you need other people for that. If you're not curious, you're not gonna be able to get an analysis done. It can take a long time, and if you're not interested, you're just gonna give up. Don't be afraid. Just be, persistent with what you're doing. Don't give up. That's it.
Next is Dr. Fiona Simpson. Fiona earned her doctorate in biomedical engineering from the University of Montreal and her honors Bachelor of Science in molecular biology from McMaster University. Fiona is currently the Chief Executive Officer at BioMimmer.
So So my name is Dr. Fiona Simpson. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Biomimir. We're a female-founded medical device startup, and we use biomaterials to streamline the treatment process for complex wounds. In high school, I read a profile of Dr. Flossie Wong-Stahl, who was one of the original people who identified HIV as the cause of AIDS, and she was a molecular biologist. And that's why I got an undergraduate degree in molecular biologist, because I was like, virology's incredible, I want to be like her, and that's what she did, so that'll be a great start for me. I had just graduated for grad school. I'm not independently wealthy. You know, I had a Visa card, a dream, and a lot of audacity, and we went out there and said, we have this brilliant idea, looked for community partners, you know, people who gave us non-dilutive funding and investors, and 2 years later, we've actually turned our crazy dream into reality. Over the years, I have worked with a lot of high school students, a lot of university students, even a lot of graduate students, and I think it's okay to not know what you want to do with the rest of your life. I think it's okay to take a degree in something that you just think is interesting, that you want to study, and to know that it doesn't lock you into a single career for the rest of your life. The more you know about the world, the more empowered you are to make your own decisions, to carve your own path. Everything from medicine to nutrition to how your cell phone works to why we invest in different types of energy infrastructure, they all tell you so much more about how the world works. And I think that's an amazing thing.
And lastly, I would like to introduce our 12th role model, Amanda Pinto. Amanda earned her Bachelor of Environmental Engineering from the University of Guelph and is currently a project manager at CF Crozer & Associates.
My name is Amanda Pinto. I'm an environmental engineer and I work as a project manager at Crozer & Associates. I do mostly stormwater management design and look at servicing and grading for clients across the GTA. I actually moved to Canada on my own when I was 14 to pursue engineering actually, and so I really had to be resilient, flexible, adaptable. I had to kind of learn most things on my own and learn how to be independent at an early age. There's so many different avenues that you can go down, so many different paths. I think it's really difficult to see those right at the beginning when you're young, but doing your research, making sure that you're keeping your eye out on something that you're passionate about and something you're good at can really serve you in the long term. And not to mention, you're also making a real world contribution while you do so. It's really crucial to have different perspectives and different people giving you their opinions because A, that's how you learn, but that's also how you get to a really good solution to your problem. You know, we work with engineers at our workplace that are very senior, and so for them as well, like it's a great exchange of knowledge because we're able to provide them and update them on, you know, this is what's new in the industry. It's really difficult to find senior technical leaders that are female, especially in consulting, and so it's so important to be able to have that figure for you in the workplace. I'm really grateful and appreciative to be in engineering, to be able to make a contribution to the world in such a way.
Thank you so much.
Can we please give one more final round of applause to your 2024 See It, Be It, STEM It role models. And now I would like to welcome back to the stage Dr. Fiona Simpson, Effie, Shannon, and May for our fireside chat along with Linda, who will be our host. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all for agreeing to be part of the panel. I think this is a great opportunity for you guys to share a little bit more of your wisdom and advice, as you already have with us, with the group. I have some questions myself, but I'm also absolutely want to go with questions from the group. So please give a little bit of thought to that, and I'll pop out from time to time to see if we have some questions from the audience. So I'm going to start out with what has been your favorite experience in your chosen career? I'm going to start with Fiona. We're going to go straight across.
Okay. So I've done a lot of cool things, but my favorite day in developing biomaterials is the day that we do animal surgeries. And I know this isn't a popular topic for everybody, but it's that day where we go in and we say, all right, we're going to try this out. And this is the real-time test to see if it's going to be effective. And it's a day that is full of like so much promise and so much excitement. It's like the most incredible feeling at the end of the day when you're like, heck yes, we as a team, we did that.
Awesome.
Favorite day? Oh, I feel like every day is my favorite day. But honestly, I think, like I shared when we all gathered before, well, it's the impact. It's seeing the impact that you make in people's lives. Those are my favorite things to gather, the favorite memories. It is seeing just how much you're helping someone be brave to try and do things outside of their comfort zone. And it's again, seeing the work that we get to do with the young women that we also provide services to be able to access education, especially coming from less, fortunate homes, less income, lower income homes, and again, for immigrants that are moving to new countries and are knowing how to connect or build relationships or find their community where they can feel like themselves. So when they do hit that plateau and they feel a sense of belonging and feel a sense of home and knowing where they can go, what they can do with their gifts, their talent, and they share that with us and they share that with me, those are my favorite things. It makes it worthwhile.
Yeah. How about you, Shannon?
I think some of my favorite moments are the moments when I get to reflect and see my kind of finished accomplishment and know that like I built that. To stand in a building that you helped build or to contribute to your society, your community, really is a great feeling. And additionally, I love the transferable skills that I get. It's really something you get to take home with you, not just leave at the job site. And I didn't know if I'd share this story, but it was a really proud moment I had. A little sentimental here, but my stepfather recently passed away, and his house was up for sale. And there was some electrical stuff that he started years ago in a renovation. And there's like a 3-way switch that's never worked. And I went in there, my mom's like, can you figure this out? So I went in there and I found this wire he left hanging that he never really finished that installation. And I went, I know exactly what's going on here. Very common mistake for a 3-way switch. And it kind of felt like the leftover project he left me. And so to be able to take those transferable skills home, that was a really nice day.
Awesome. I may have a few projects for you. We'll talk later. May?
I would say I don't have a day in particular, but I think what my favorite thing is I get to, I say it jokingly, but I think I really mean it, is I get to be a professional wonderer, and I get to spend my everyday, like I get to professionally ask questions and just be a professional. I don't know if this is a profession, but like a curiosiologist or someone who just gets to be curious all the time. And I think it's one of those misconceptions when we say STEM, oh, I have to be good at this, or I have to have this kind of mindset. And we all live in this world where science and math and technology, it's all around us. And whether or not, however you learn, however you are, you're going to interact with science, math, and technology regardless of what you do. And it's all around you. So I think I just get to professionally say I ask a lot of questions all the time, but we're all doing it anyway because we all probably have questions in our day-to-day lives and just day-to-day things we do.
Awesome, I love that. In reflecting on the videos that we just watched, I noticed a few of you talked about not really the importance, but that it's okay to make mistakes, that mistakes are how you learn. And I wondered if you guys might want to just elaborate on that a little bit, because I think that's so important. I think we all live in fear of making mistakes, when in fact mistakes are where where I've learned the most, that I can then build on and be even better the next time around. Maybe we'll start with you, May, and we'll come this way this time.
Okay, I'll relate it to education. I don't remember the exact quote, but there is a quote, and I used to plaster it all over my classroom about how if learning is not hard, you're not doing it right. And that's because it has to be hard for you to actually form the memory and the learning network in your brain. And I think what I really love about when you make mistakes or you're trying something, it might be hard in the beginning, but when you get to a stage where either I relate a lot of things to sport, where your body equilibrates and it's not as hard anymore, or all of a sudden you're trying a new recipe and now you can do it off by heart. You feel a sense of accomplishment anytime you've kind of changed what you're able to do. And so I think without making those mistakes, you're not getting to the aha moments. You're not getting to this new place where you're like, now I can do this very easily without much effort on my end, but originally it took a lot of time to get there. And sometimes I think we're all sitting here because we all have something to share, but we're looking at this accomplishment, and there's a lot of little things and little steps that all brought us here, and a lot of mistakes, mentor, people who've been in our circles who have really made us who we are today. And I think that's always important to remember and not get lost, because it's very much a journey.
Absolutely. Shannon, what do you think?
I agree. I feel like it's in the struggles where you really do a lot of learning. And so there's lots of times, and I remember on the construction site once when, for a new person, you're thinking, it takes you a little bit longer. You're processing, you're going through each step, where someone who's seasoned and been there, they're already 10 steps ahead. And I remember, I had to have a conversation with my journey person at the time and said, I know it looks like I'm struggling, but I'm thinking, right? And it's in that struggle where I actually do learn. And if I make a mistake, correcting it, it's attaching that little bit of emotional, piece to it where I made a mistake. Let me correct it so that it really does sear into my memory. So it really isn't in the struggles that I think we learn. And so we shouldn't fear mistakes or failures as much as we do.
I agree. I think mistakes are a beautiful learning curve for us, and we have to be able to sit with that emotion at times, because it can be quite overwhelming when you do something and it doesn't go well. For me, I think making a mistake, I was always afraid of it because I felt like everyone wanted me to be perfect, to be smart, and because I also had so much huge responsibility from such a young age to be a caregiver, to be someone who was responsible, to take care of so many things and so many people. And then you're always afraid, you're always afraid to let those people down. Even in my studies, when I realized, returning back to study biomedical science in my 20s, I was 25 in a classroom of 18. I had graduated high school at 13. It was nerve-wracking. I was even afraid to fail, but guess what? I did fail because I was in a new city, I was in a new class, and it was so heavily weighted on my heart that I wasn't the best anymore. I wasn't the first in the class, and it was just like, oh my goodness, how do you survive chemistry of cells, biology of cells, and learning the periodic table all over again in your 20s? And it was so intimidating, but what I took from that failure is a memory that I left with, and I get to be so excited about today, is out of that mistake and fear, I just posted in my library at one point, and I was like, hey, I'm a mature student. If you're also a mature student and you don't know what you're doing, come and meet me here at 5. There may or may not be snacks, because I was also broke. But it worked out. People came and they were in their 30s, some in their 50s, but at different age. And I really did leave the school at that point, realizing that I had community, and it was so brave because I spoke out. And that was one thing I learned. Even in my mistake, I've always had the confidence, and I've always have the just the wisdom to be able to use it for my good, turn every adversity into an adventure. And I love what you said, May. Curiosity has taken me and brought me here, and it's taken me on a beautiful journey. And it doesn't matter if you fail or you fall flat on your face, it's what you do with it that actually matters. So that's what shapes you at the end of the day. So you get to decide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Fiona?
So as somebody who started as a research scientist, there's a huge burden against publishing negative results. We don't publish our negative results. We only publish our successes. And it means that like 2/3 of data generated by most research groups never see the light of day. And it's terribly disappointing because like I remember being in grad school and being like, well, if I don't start doing this very expensive experiment, I can't waste my lab's money. But if I don't start that experiment, we don't learn anything. I don't know how to tweak it the next time. You know, I have to build our whole database of negative data because, for one thing, we make medical devices, and when it goes to market, it has to be right. It has to be safe, and it has to be effective for you. And if it takes me 100 tries, if it takes me 1,000 tries, we have to fail that way in order to then be successful. So, you know, it's not necessarily even a mistake there, right? It's a learning experience, and it's worth generating those mistakes so you know where to go from there because it helps you set your pathway forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. Such great advice, and you know, it reminds me of something we like to talk about at Linamar around success and failure, and that is that, you know, failure isn't usually fatal, and success also isn't forever. So we go by this. There was a coach in the US, and I'm sorry I forget his name, but his rule with his team was win or lose, you have 24 hours to either celebrate your victory or mourn your loss and then move on, right? Because fatal, you know, failures and fatal loss isn't fatal. So, you know, mourn that loss, but then get back to work because there's another game coming up. And similarly, just because you won doesn't mean, you know, you win forever, right? So don't get so full of your, you know, that one success. Celebrate that success and then get back to work because there's more things to learn the next day. Questions from the audience? Anybody would like? Yes, back here. I see a hand. Hello, Julio.
Hello. I got to work with you girls before on this calendar, so it's nice to see you here. My question for you, which I didn't ask that day, is where do you want professionally your career to go next in each of your prospective careers?
Great question. Why don't we start with Effie this time? We're just going to mix it on up, you know? Who's starting?
That's an interesting question, I think, and it's something that I've been really asking myself about as well. I just came back from Europe spending some time with my mom, like you know, and that came up, which is fascinating. You're bringing it, well, you on our holiday. But honestly, I remember like going, because a few years ago, I'm still coming through it. We lost something very precious in our home, and for me, grieving that is still a very painful thing. And what I did in return was I didn't want to face the emotion of that loss. I didn't want to face what I was feeling, so I poured myself into work. And I created so much, and out of that came a beautiful conference that took place on September 16. It was beyond my wildest dream because it was something, when I published my book, almost, 7, 8 years ago, I wanted to do it for women, by women, and giving them access to like more leaders in the industry. And the way that it all unfolded after putting so much effort for the last 2 years was just something so beautiful. And I remember that if I was to, or somebody was to tell me that, Effie, you've done enough with your 36 years on this earth. You've given so much of yourself, because my whole life has always been about service. How can I serve you? How can I serve anyone that I come across? It's the way my mom lived. It's the way my whole family is. So I would be happy because I felt like I had done everything that I wanted to do. And my next path, and as you guys will see in the picture, in my heart, is just to be a mom. Mm-hmm. So that's my next journey. So I guess when it comes to my profession, I feel like I'm already living in my future state. It's like I said in the video, I could see myself in the future, and every single step and every single decision, every single choice that I had made to this point has been moving towards that future. And I've accomplished so much. And even though I struggle with celebrating it, I'm grateful. I'm at a place where I'm truly blessed and very, very excited that I've ticked every box, and now I just know whatever the future holds, I'm excited about it. I don't know what this part is gonna look, but my curiosity, I'm sure, will take me to new places. Let's see what comes next.
Sounds great. Fiona?
So I'm on a mission to kill the use of gauze in wound healing. So I'm really mad
that when you have a cut, when you have a serious injury, when you get a C-section, when you have a diabetic ulcer, that you go to the doctor and they stick something that was developed several hundred years ago on it that has not changed in several, cotton gauze has been cotton gauze as long as it's been around. I think you, people in this room, people around the world, truly deserve better options for wound healing. And so our goal is honestly to completely replace the standard of care, your Band-Aids, your gauze, your silicone sheets, with like truly regenerative biomaterials that help you to heal without scarring. And so that means we're trying to build our little now 8-person startup into a global powerhouse. Like, I want to be the Medtronic of wound healing. And so that's my audacity.
That sounds amazing. Love it. May.
I think for me, I think about impact, and the impact I want to have really goes down to developing critical thinkers. And I think education has so much power in that. And it's for people to make critical decisions that are right for them. And when I see children or youth or adults making decisions without fully understanding the decision they're making, I think that, to me, like, maybe it's a bit of my personality too. Like, to me, I feel kind of a heaviness from that, and like, I almost feel like my chest sinks a bit because it's like, oh, you just needed to consider a couple more things or reflect on what you needed. And I think where I'm not one for labels, so I don't want to say like, this is the job, this is the profession. I would just say that where I would see myself, if I am to project what am I wanting to do in the future 3 to 5 years from now, I want to say that I want to be able to touch lives in a way that helps develop critical thinking skills. And that comes through math, it comes through science, it comes through technology. I mean, I'm biased. I think it starts at education, which is why I'm in education. I think education's quite powerful, and I just hope that we build as a society, like in 10, 20 years, we have folks in our society who are making critically conscious decisions and about what they do, their daily lives, healthy living, and they're making decisions that are good for them, but they know why it's good for them, and they are able to make the best decisions for who they are.
Sounds awesome. Shannon?
Well, I think one thing that's really unique about the trades is it is a different education process. And so I'm an apprentice, and a lot of people still, what is that? Well, I'm a student in the process of becoming an electrician. But there's a next step. The next step is to become that qualified journey person. And ultimately, that person is a teacher. And originally, I went to school for child and youth work. I love people. I love the impact that you can, the change that you can see in people. And so I'll get that opportunity, and I'm excited to mostly refine my teaching skills to be able to give back to the next generation of electricians. I too have aspirations that one day I'll be a mother, and so that is my more personal goals, but professionally, I just really want to be a good teacher, because I think that in the skilled trades, they're maybe lacking a little, and I'd like to be one of those really good ones.
Awesome, yeah. Awesome, that sounds great. Another thing I noticed in several of your journeys and those of many of our other role models is where you started is not necessarily where you are now. And in the video, I think at least 1 or 2 people said it's okay to not know when you're 17 what you're gonna do for the rest of your life, and that journeys take right and left turns. And to me, that has always made you uniquely qualified for where you end up, right? Because you learn something, at every turn along the way. I wonder if you guys could talk a little bit about that, and I'm gonna start with Shannon this time.
I am also a very big true believer of everything happens for a reason. Often in those moments of crisis where you think you made the wrong turn, you just don't really know how that's gonna contribute to your overall life. Originally, I went to school for child and youth work, nothing that I do today. However, becoming an electrical apprentice, I've had other doors open where I can do advocacy. There's not many women in the skilled trades, and so education is huge, representation is huge, and getting into the school boards and talking to our young people about different career options is something I'm really passionate about, and it allows me to take that child and youth work diploma that maybe I thought at one point, what was the point of this, and combine it with my current passion to be this advocate or representation for other young people. So you never know where life's going to take you. You just got to be flexible to change and be open to possibilities. Don't close any door. It might be the door for you.
May?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go back to education has a lot of power, because I do truly believe in that. And I think you have to also model it as well and be willing to learn. I was originally a classroom teacher. I am not in the classroom right now. But I think what helps with that change is when you have to be willing to learn, you have to be willing to take on new things, and you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. And hope that people take chances on you as well. Because I fully recognize when I'm in my current job right now, and I knew the moment I read the job description, I was like, I have no publishing experience, I have no editorial experience, but what I do have is a willingness to learn. And so I need somebody who's also willing to invest in somebody who's willing to learn and ask the right questions, because I don't know that side of things, but I do know that I can bring something else from what I've learned on my end. And when I talk to some of my friends in their professional circles as well, we always talk about we never stop learning, because you always want to build skills so that when the right opportunity opens, you're ready with the skills to take on it. And so it's not always okay, I'm going to be this and that's all I'm going to do. It's what else can you learn in this changing world? Education. What else can you learn? And then if the right opportunity opens or you find something, you are prepared to take on that opportunity. Because the worst case is you don't want to end up with your dream opportunity coming, but you missed out on building some skill sets that are needed for that opportunity. So really just being open to learning anything, and then bringing everything that you've learned forward as well, because then when something is available or there is an opportunity, you have a skill set, or at least a level where you can bring something and continue to learn as well.
Fiona?
So I failed out of grad school the first time I went to graduate school. For any number of reasons. I probably wasn't there because I knew exactly what I wanted to do. A lot of stuff happened, but I had thought I was going to be a professor. That had been the dream, and I was just like, well, now I'm a failure, right? But I was like, one has to pay one's rent and buy groceries. So I got a job working as a medical writer, doing pharmaceutical consulting. And then one day I got a job offer, like, you want to move to Sweden and make biomaterials for a clinical trial? And I was like, hell yes, I do. I'm ready for a new challenge. I've gotten some very different skills than I had when I was in research, working in pharmaceutical consulting and clinical research. I was ready to do something new. And when the research group that I moved to Sweden for came back to Canada, I was like, I found my thing. I used to do research to know stuff. But my grad supervisor, May Griffith's group, does research to make stuff, and it makes all of the difference for me. And so when I went back to school at 30 to get my PhD, I did it with, like a renewed sense of purpose, and that went phenomenally well. So for as poorly as my first graduate school experience went, my second, my PhD went phenomenally well, and it put me in a position to found my own company. So know that you can think your dream died, and you can be so incredibly low about yourself. And there's so far for you to go.
Awesome. Effie?
I think for me, my career curiosity. Like I said, it's taken me a beautiful journey. Because at 18, I was a chef. And for me, there's got to be a purpose as to what I do. And it has to make sense to me, if not everyone. So I became a chef, because that was the only opportunity. Because like I said, I graduated at 13. I couldn't afford an education beyond that. So it was, okay, what other options do I have? You have to pivot when the world is giving you some tough lessons to adapt to. So I became a chef in Belgium, and then I used every single €1 that I was earning per hour, because you learn and then you serve at lunch to people, teaching you how to be a waitress as well and about customer service. And I used that, and I went on forward to Chicago and got myself more study. And then I came back with a diploma in nursing and midwifery. And from there forward, I ended up, pursuing my career in biomedical science and then going as far as my master's study. So for me, it was really thinking about how can I be able to redeem myself not for other people, but for me, but for the dreams that I had, and knowing that these are the challenges that were ahead of me. I didn't have money. I didn't come from a well-known family. I didn't have mentors. I didn't have an ecosystem basically that could support me. So how do you pivot on purpose? So that's basically been my way of actually like transitioning. So it's okay not to follow the traditional routes at times. I tell this to our students and I tell this to anybody that I know, especially women. But don't be afraid, right? Don't be afraid, because I look at my journey and I've learned something incredible and valuable and transferable from every single experiences. And they've brought me here to be able to get connected with all these incredible, phenomenal women. So I do agree with you, May, that education is a huge part of this world. And especially as women, we need it to be able to become our best selves. So that way we can also have our own voice and be confident to use that voice and to, again, lift up people that we know are coming from that same sort of like environment or finding it difficult. So it's about paying it forward. So yeah, don't be afraid. If what you studied, you didn't end up doing it as a job, learn what you can from that experience and then pay it forward and then see where it takes you.
It's a great advice. And it's one of the things I love about STEM, in fact, is that there's so many opportunities that can come from it, right? Like, and somebody in the video said, actually I think more than one, that science is all around us, technology is all around us. It informs every aspect of our life. So to me, it's why I think it's such a great choice of an area to study, because you can take that basic knowledge and just go in so many different directions.
May I add something in there as well?
Absolutely.
I was just gonna say, because something you said just triggered a memory in my mind, because I used to be so scared that when I finished my studies, that what am I going to do? Because I didn't have any option. I wanted to be a gynecologist for the longest time since I was 9, even without knowing how to spell it. But I think after my brothers taught me eventually. But after really leaving university was when I realized, okay, this is a big world. But I got my first job in Oxford, working at a lower level as a scientist. And I remember wanting to scale up because I felt I had learned everything I could in 6 months, but it wasn't, that was it. I was so bored at that point. I was like, I need something more. But then that scale, I didn't get a promotion. But when I came back from visiting my brother in Montreal, I got an opportunity to go and learn about Labour LIMS, which is such a specific area. And I felt like it was a CIA for people in technology or coding. Honestly, you don't know how to apply for the job or how to get it. But someone found me through LinkedIn and they said, we're looking for someone who knows how to speak French, who is a scientist, and who understands the system. At first, I thought it was a prank because my brother, they're really good at it. But then it turned out to be true. So after quitting that job, but first learning every single thing I could about this Labour LIMS, I didn't want the promotion, but it happened. But I had a choice to make it so that I could be in demand, that if I learned the skill, I could take it anywhere. And that opportunity did not only open a door for me to move back to Belgium, heal some trauma back there, and then he also took me all the way to Ireland to be able to work for Pfizer, GlaxoSmithKline, Roche, and then later on, brought into Accenture. And then I learned how to code. I learned how to do implementation. So you just don't know, right? So every opportunity always brings something beautiful out of it.
Awesome.
So yeah.
I love that. Thank you. Other questions from our group here, right here? Blanca, another one of our Leapsters at Linamar.
Good afternoon. Congratulations to everybody for this calendar in this year and for the role models that are not in the calendar too. It's awesome. My question is, what could you advise to a 17 years old, my daughter? I hope she is watching this right now. She's really super confused about what she wants, and what she is thinking right now is about biology, but she's very good in arts. So I don't have how to help her, and if any of you girls can give me your contact to, if you wanna talk to my daughter or something else, I'm looking for ways to open her mind. I know that here in Canada there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of things to learn, but I'm curious, like, what could be your advice for that age even if it was for yourself in that time, that sometimes you don't know at that age what to study, which path. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Fiona, you start us off.
Okay. I have like a very succinct piece of advice, and then I have a slightly longer-winded piece of advice. So the first is learn to code, because even biology is computational these days. And if you learn to code when you're young and you've got lots of time to play around with it, do it before you go to university and you have to learn it in first year. Lifelong skill. Doesn't matter which language. Once you learn one, you can also learn another one. The other one is to know that like art and science are not that divorced. The American Academy of Sciences commissioned a study looking at Nobel Prize winners, and they found out that Nobel Prize winners are significantly more likely to have artistic pursuits. So like for me, I crochet, I made my earrings and my bracelet. Like this is what I do when I'm not running a company, right? My wife's an incredible painter and 3D artist when she's not doing machine learning algorithms to do structural protein peptide design. Don't think that you have to do one or the other, right? Like you can have a career in STEM, you can also have a career in art. These are not divergent paths. The other thing I was going to say in response to that is, and for everybody watching, me and my team never turn down informational opportunities for young people, right? It's kind of a little bit weird for me to go and talk to other people's 13-year-olds, you know? But if you email me and you can have my card and you can put it on the website, I will always talk to young people, middle school, high school, university, about what I do, about things that they can do to improve themselves. I think a lot of people are afraid to ask, but you need mentors. And I think most of us sitting here are willing to do that. So, but be brave, come to us, say I'd love to know more. I will always make time for you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Effie?
Yeah, it's the same. I love mentoring, I love coaching, and the reason is because I didn't have one outside of my mama. And I always used to say, if people didn't have a mom like me, how did they really make it in life? I owe everything to her and my grandmother, rest her soul. So yeah, for your daughter, it's really hard. But one thing I would say is please let her know that it's okay. It's okay not to know what she wants at this age, because the world is a very scary place and it's very confusing, especially after the pandemic. A lot of young girls are very lost. And please tell her to stay off social media if she's on there. TikTok, Snapchat, whichever ones they've created now. There's too many to count, but ask her to continue to first know herself, right? Know herself, and then she would definitely from there start to know what she loves. Give her an exercise that someone once shared when we were in a two-way dialogue is ask her to dream of her perfect day. What does that look like? Does she go to work? And get her to start from the moment she step out of her bed. What did you eat for breakfast? What did you do? And from there, perhaps you can sit with her and actually start decoding the puzzle and putting some of the things that she's written down and maybe helping her explore them one by one with a coach, with a mentor, or even perhaps with a teacher at school. So from there, you can again, kind of help her build that roadmap and foundation. But again, keep reassuring her that it is okay, that she doesn't know. My doors are always open, and like I said, my career didn't take me to, I'm not working constantly as a scientist, but I still consult, and that's where I really found my passion is. It's around community building, and it's about people, people and culture. So I get to do that through my business and my foundation, my charity foundation, Odihit. That's what we do each and every day. My heart is to give people the things I didn't have. So now we provide free access to educational resources and training to young girls and women. So if there's anything that we can be able to offer your daughter in there, we've got online classroom, please let her know. I would love to connect afterwards. She can come and learn. And with the conference, we always bring recruiters, and they give them opportunities to be able to intern in the fields of their interest, to see if it's really for them. And the reason is because we have a specific program called Kwame, which is an indigenous word for a place of vision. It is to empower women, BIPOC women and youth under 35 to work in boardroom and high-level business position. As a Black woman who occupied that space, I remember how difficult it was, and I didn't see anybody like me in that space to even ask questions. So that's one of our programs, and we get them connected to different firms so they can go in there and explore and be able to be creative, play around, learn something new. They don't like it, great, find the next best thing. and mentors that are always going to be there to support them. So there are lots of resources, and you got some right here. So don't be afraid to come talk to us and help us, and let us help you pave the way and show you some more people that we know in our contacts that perhaps might be able to serve you. So, yeah.
Awesome. Shannon?
Same thing, my door is always open, and spending a lot of time in the high schools. I think it's so important, that education piece about the different options that are available to young people. The advice that I think is so important for young, for old, for everybody is to really just try different things. I remember there's like that one aha moment. And my best friend, we always like to do lazy rivers in the boats or the kayaks, and we started with a canoe, and one year I bought a kayak, and he was like, Shannon, you gotta try it. And I'm like, no, I love the canoe so much. I was so adamant, I loved this canoe, I'd take it down the river by myself. And the next year, I finally got in the kayak, and I haven't gone back since, because the kayak is so much, there's just so much more you can do with that, and it's so much more freeing. That I loved it. And so I learned in that moment that you really don't know yourself until you try. And too many of our young people are stuck on these things, even ourselves. We are so stuck on our devices. We think that we will like something or don't like something because of our favorite celebrities, our best friends. And truth be told, you don't know until you try. So she's gonna enter high school. There's so many different opportunities in high school specifically, like I ask young people, do you know what co-op is? They're like, yeah, but do they ever register for it? So co-ops, that opportunity to actually go out into the world, try something that you like. Maybe it's a dental hygienist, maybe it's a trades worker, maybe it's in whatever science it might be. But you go out into the world, earn credits, but you actually get to try it. And so our young people get that opportunity to get their hands on learning experiences while earning credits, and hopefully put down their devices long enough to actually explore something new, because it's so important that we never stop trying new things.
Awesome. May?
Yeah, I was going to say something very similar, and I always, in my own brain, what I always tell myself is everything deserves at least 2 tries, because the first one's always going to be hard or different, or you don't know. Something's going to be amiss with the first try, and the second try you get to see what you didn't see in the first try. So I think everything deserves at least 2 tries, and to not be afraid to take on risks. I think back when I was in school, this is a dream career if I could have one, but a dream career I really wanted is I wanted to be the scientist on movie sets that made food. And so I don't know if you know, but in movies, they don't actually do the actual food that you see, because that's too much, with the number of takes, that's too much eating. And so they actually make different types of materials and compositions to mimic. So an egg yolk is often like a mango jelly, and and it depends if they're filming inside or outside because the glare changes. And so this was like a childhood dream of mine. But I remember, because I didn't have a network that knew much about that industry, I didn't know who to contact, I didn't know what questions to ask, I was too shy to ask the questions, I was too scared to take any of these risks, that I still don't know much about what it takes to get into that industry. I still think it'd be a super cool job. So if anyone in the crowd is in that industry, let's talk. But I think what is most important is just being open to trying new things, asking those questions, meeting people who can tell you more about something. And when you try something, it's not always to just try that experience, but you never know in that experience if it opens the door to something else and you learn about something else. And where I got really into learning about science because my friend said, hey, let's hang out after work. Turns out hanging out after work was looking for a bunch of fossils in the Don Valley River. But I learned a lot about learning science and how deep you can really get into a topic. We chased the fossils back to like which ice age it came from, which bay the glacier came down from. Like we got really deep into this. But this came from hey, let's hang out after work.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those, you don't know where one little moment can take you. And I think everything has that like domino effect. And so to just not say no too early because you don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe it'll be a big flop, okay, but then that's failing forward. That's learning our lessons that we've talked about as well. And I think it's just being okay with saying, okay, I tried this, not for me. I'm not going to do that one again. Or it is for me. Or maybe I'll try something else and it was kind of working, but not the perfect fit. So I'll try it again and see if there's another branch that comes out of it. And I think that's really important to just not quit or give up on yourself. And I think with social media, so maybe not be on social media as much, but you see people with all their successes, in your mind you're like, okay, I have to be successful when I try something because look how awesome these people are. And we forget those little failing moments that bring people to where they are because we don't necessarily glorify them all the time. But I think we're all a collection of a lot of failures and a lot of changes.
Yeah. It's great advice. And I loved your story about food on the movie set, which I didn't know, but makes sense. Because again, it's an example of how STEM and science and technology are everywhere, right? And it reminds me, like a few years ago, we had a role model who was an engineer, is an engineer, but also loved dance and was like did some competitive dance and performance. And she found a job with Cirque du Soleil, doing all their safety equipment, and that she would map out like what the different potential safety issues might be. So she was using her engineering skills and knowledge at the same time as, getting to still do something super creative that she loved to do. So again, a great example of a job you might not think that I would do, you would do with engineering, but there she is and loving it. Other questions? Okay, don't worry, because I have one last question that we're gonna stop on, and I was inspired to ask it, but because you all talked about wanting and liking to be mentors yourself, and I suspect that's because maybe you had a mentor that may have taught you a lot and inspired you in some ways. So this is your chance to give them a shout out. Who inspired you? Who was a mentor to you? Who did you take some cues from? Because I think we don't realize how influential we all are in some way. And I'm sure people would love to hear that. So I'm going to start with you, May.
I always struggle with this question because I feel like I am such a collection of the people I have met and the people who have touched my life that I don't think I can say it's all to one person. And I think at different stages of my life, those mentors become more pivotal in those aspects of my life. So I'll try to summarize this quickly as I can, but when I first started, I worked at the Science Center, and I think my mentor there, her name was Angie, and she taught me a lot about everyone learns differently, and we all need certain things to be successful, and that's okay. And that was a lot of forming my identity, being comfortable with who I am. I know I recognize I'm a little quirky and I've got my weird quirks to me, but she really honed that, that's not something that doesn't make you successful. That's just the more authentic you are, the more people will take to that. And so she really embraced that. And that was through a lot of my high school and undergraduate years. And then when I finished, I started working at a run store. And the co-owners, their names are Mike and Maya. They influenced me a lot in that early career adult stage where I was trying to figure out, okay, what is my transition to from being a student to a adult or working adult, whatever we want to call it. My mom told me when I was a child that when you become an adult, that's when you start liking coffee, but I don't like coffee still, so I don't know if I've hit that adult side of things yet, but they really helped me how do I job search? How do I want to present myself? What does that look like? And so they were really pivotal mentors in that side. And then I had some mentors when I was in the classroom as well, where if anyone has me on their team, I'm sorry, but one of my mentors told me sky was the limit. It's probably not what you want to tell someone like me who's going to try 100,000 different things. I learned quickly that eventually there's a limit to how many things you can try in the classroom, but a lot of mentors who were willing to let me take whatever risks I wanted in the classroom or would allow me to do whatever I wanted. I had every whiteboard marker color that could have existed, and I was hanging 3D cells from the ceiling. It was raining DNA, literally, in my classroom a lot. So it's having those people who allow you to do those things. And now I'm at Nelson, and something I'm thankful for, my boss is actually here, so she's there in the crowd, Lenore. But I think what I love about our team is we we all bring our authentic selves to the team, and it's a very safe space to just be our quirky selves, but I think we also get better ideas. And I think there's something to be said about that acceptance and you don't always have to be a successful team of having this competitive, everyone's the star team. I just feel like you're just a cohesive unit when everyone really lets everyone be who they are. And I think that's something now that I'm transitioning in my kind of career. So it's like, I don't think I'm just one person mentor me and influence me. I think I'm a collection of everyone I've met along the way.
Awesome, I love that. Shannon?
I also struggle with this question because you said it so beautifully that I don't know if I could repeat it, but I do believe I'm a collection of even just moments. Like a moment with one person can change your lifetime. And so I think I'm a collection of inspiring people who have crossed my path. One in particular, I had my boss back when I was in business, Michelle. She taught me so many different things about just leadership and business and people. And then, you move forward, and I had an impeccable teacher when I started the pre-apprenticeship programs to become a teacher. He's still what I would consider a friend today because, I could go to his shop and Rob, and he'll be supportive, he'll give me encouragement. And then you have those family mentors, and my biggest mentor, my aunt, I think I resemble her most in the family by our spirits and who we are as people. Maybe it's a Virgo thing. I don't know. If that really exists, I don't know. But we're the Virgos in the family, and she's been my support, my mentor my whole life. And so a collaboration of amazing people, specific moments that have, kind of inspired me today.
Nice. Effie?
Yeah, I love that. That resonates with me, but again, like I said at the start, I didn't have mentors outside of my mom. It wasn't something that I grew up knowing what that life was like. I felt like it was a lived experience from other people. So my mom, of course, was my first hero. She was my mentor, and then my grandmother kind of stepped in. I guess she was always there. I just didn't pay that much attention until I was in my second year of biomedical science school. So, but when I went to university, to college, that was when I really knew what mentor meant because I had an academic advisor, and I just saw her since I graduated in 2015, because she was my biology of cells teacher. And Susan Brooks really changed everything for me in terms, and I was telling her this just this past few weeks, that she really shaped the way I build relationship after her, like what it was like to be a mentor, but also had a mother sort of like instincts or sort of like support, but without also both of us breaking down boundaries and keeping that respectful professional setting as well, because she knew I was going through a lot at home, and she knew how to be gentle, how to be firm, how to be tough, and how to push me into a situation where she knew that I could thrive, and just being there, supporting me through the way. And yeah, it's a collection as well of people. I've met incredible people since I moved to Canada in 6 years. Glory and Betty, they're kind of like my big sisters, I call them. Again, I met them through networking events and gatherings such as this. And it's just a bunch of people, honestly, that have really just shaped my life. My board of directors are my mentors, because not only do I get to lead them, but I'm also a mentee, because they tell me what's working, what isn't working. They shape my life so we can shape the charity's life. My interns are my mentor, not just me being their mentor or them being my mentee. They tell me things about what works for them, because a lot of them come through the co-op program for UBC or come through our program from our workshops as well. So those are really important things, because that's how I see it. Everybody that I come across with are my mentor, as long as you're adding value into my life the same way I know I would go through a similar lens to add value into yours. That's always going to be something that I just think is priceless. So everybody I have a conversation with, that I get to have deep and intentional and difficult conversation with, are always going to be like mentors and role models for me. So, and you guys too have all been mentors, because I've only met you guys briefly, but in that period while we took those pictures, I got to learn about some of you and your stories and what you've been. And I took that, and I actually realized that, yeah, if they're doing these things, remember, you're also capable of that. And also reminding this woman that you come across to know that you've met people that have gone through difficult challenge. Just tell them there are people who've already gone before you. So if you're ever in doubt, here they are. And now we've been bringing the magazine so they know it's a true story.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Fiona.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm also a collection of a lot of amazing mentors along the way. And the list of great teachers I had in like elementary school and high school is probably too long for today. But a couple of really special people on my journey. So to Dr. Ashok Grover at McMaster University, who gave me my first ever job in research, and brought me in many a freezing cold Wednesday morning to go over his grants with him line by line. You know, he told me I was helping him with his English grammar, and instead he taught me like the absolute art of writing a science grant long before I even knew I would need it. To my two graduate supervisors, so Dr. May Griffith and Dr. Marie-Claude Robert, who saw me through my PhD to a very successful end. You know, those as a research scientist and a corneal surgeon, very strong women in my life. And I mean, having a brand new company is like learning a whole new skill set. And so, you know, I'm still in the process of having mentors and getting new mentors all of the time. This isn't something that stops one day because you're like a grown-up and you know what you're doing. So like Martine Courtemanche from Sherbrooke Anapole, who gave us a lab when we had no money and we're just like, do you have like a tiny corner I could do some assays in? And led Sherbrooke Anapole to be our first big investor. Like I sometimes joke that Martine believes in me as much as my mom believes in me, and that's a hell of a lot. And we just went through Creative Destruction Labs Vancouver, which is a mentorship accelerator. So to Alison Ty, Alison Twiner, Mariam Lamami, Lindsay Mackin, Livleen Beseltmas, I could go on. All of the people who participate in that program and lend you their expertise in different ways when you have new challenges and you need new help. Like they've been invaluable to us in, you know, turning our idea into a real functional company with, you know, management and corporate governance and, you know, a sense of collective responsibility. We're really indebted to their expertise.
Amazing. You know, all your words remind me, I have this painting that my husband and I bought, gosh, probably 7 or 8 years ago, and I really love it because it's a self-portrait of this artist. But it's actually all these images of all these different people. And the artist, when I think it was a woman, described why she painted it that way, said, these are all the people that have influenced me, just like you guys talked about, in some way, and they're all like a part of me. And she depicted it in this painting, which I thought was really beautiful. And I think it's a great note to end on because we all have the opportunity to influence somebody as well. Every one of us here, all of our awesome role models on the website, in our calendars, all of you that are in this room, you have an opportunity to influence somebody's life in some way. And it can be tiny ways. You said, one of you said, I think it was Shannon, a moment with one person can change a lifetime. That's so profound. And we can all be those people and be those mentors and help shape future lives. So what a perfect thing to end on. Thank you so much for sharing all your amazing wisdom and journeys and advice for young women out there. I hope that the ones listening have gotten lots of great ideas and you're inspired towards a future in STEM. So thank you very much. Thank you.
So thank you very much, ladies, all of you, for the insightful conversation. I think I can speak on behalf of everybody here today when I say it's been quite the inspiring afternoon, learning about each of your journeys in STEM and listening to the advice that you have for other young women. I hope that everybody in the audience can leave here today with an important message for themselves or a piece of advice that maybe they want to pass on to somebody else in their life. I think 2 things that I'm taking away are to always be flexible, always be willing to learn, be more curious in the job that you're in, and I think as May put it, maybe I'm going to try and be a professional wanderer. I think the other one too is never be afraid to make mistakes. Effie, I think you put it beautifully. You said mistakes are a beautiful learning curve, and I think that's really important for everybody to remember. So on behalf of everyone here today, I would like to give a huge thank you, firstly, to the See It, Be It, STEM It sponsors. Our success wouldn't be possible without your ongoing support. We truly appreciate it. And finally, thank you to everybody for attending the launch of the 2024 See It, Be It, STEM It calendar. Especially thank you, of course, to our role models, again, our sponsors, and to the calendar production team for all your hard work in putting together this year's calendar. I would like to now invite everyone to join us for a cocktail hour and a networking session, and a reminder to please feel free to grab a stack of calendars on your way out today. You can also order them off the website. And thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing everybody next year at the launch.